Hello everyone, welcome back to our virtual book tastings. Today it's the adults' turn. Some of our fiction titles that we have here that are available for you to check out. These might take a little bit longer just because adult books obviously are a little bit longer and meatier than what children's books are, but we hope that you hear one that you might enjoy. And as always, you can give us a call or go to our online catalog to reserve some of these titles. Here we go. The Five People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. The end. This is a story about a man named Eddie, and it begins at the end, with Eddie dying in the sun. It might seem strange to start a story with an ending, but all endings are also beginnings. We just don't know it at the time. The last hour of Eddie's life was spent, like most of the others, at Ruby Pier, an amusement park by a great gray ocean. The park had the usual attractions, a boardwalk, a Ferris wheel, roller coasters, bumper cars, a taffy stand, and an arcade where you could shoot streams of water into a clown's mouth. It also had a big new ride called Freddy's Freefall, and this would be where Eddie would be killed in an accident that would make newspapers around the state. If you don't know Mitch Albom, he writes just really meaningful books that really make you think, especially about the goodness of humans. Tuesdays with Morrie was his probably most popular book. But one nice thing, if you want a quick read, you should pick up a Mitch Albom book because all of his books are fairly short. Okay, moving on. Our next book is called The Lookalike by Erica Spindler. Tranquility Bluffs, Wisconsin. Winter, 12:06 a.m. Sienna Scott nearly tripped over the body. With her hood up and head down against the driving snow, she couldn't see more than a few inches in front of her feet. It was the blood that stopped her, although she didn't realize that's what it was, not at first. No, stopping short had been an automatic reaction to coming upon something she immediately recognized as wrong. The move had been so sudden and unexpected she lost her balance on the slippery walkway and fell to her knees, her gloved hands sinking into the dark snow. She began to right herself and froze, staring at her gloved hands. The gloves were white. They matched her parka and the snow-covered landscape around her, only they weren't white. Not anymore. Red, dark, ugly red. A sob broke from her throat, the sound guttural. A girl sprawled on the path, unmoving, stained by the same red as her gloves. It felt to Sienna as if she might never breathe again. The sounds ticked past, her heart thundering against the wall of her chest. Then the air barreled into her lungs, filling them to bursting. She released it on a scream that shattered the night. If you like good suspense stories, definitely one for you. Our next book is Fly Away by Kristen Hanna. She is in a restroom stall, slumped over with tears drying on her cheeks, smearing the mascara she applied so carefully only a few hours ago. You can see instantly that she doesn't belong here, and yet here she is. Grief is a sneaky thing, always coming and going like some guest you didn't invite and can't turn away. She wants this grief, although she'd never admit it. Lately, it's the only thing that feels real. She finds herself thinking about her best friend, on purpose even now, all this time later because she wants to cry. She is like a child picking at a scab, unable to stop herself, even though she knows it will hurt. She has tried to go on alone, really tried. She is trying still in her way, but sometimes one person can hold you up in life, keep you standing, and without that hand to hold, you can find yourself free-falling no matter how strong you used to be, no matter how hard you try to remain steady. Once, a long time ago, she walked down a night-darkened road called Firefly Lane, all alone, on the worst night of her life, and she found a kindred spirit. That was our beginning, more than 30 years ago. Tule and Kate, you and me against the world, best friends forever. But stories end, don't they? You lose the people you love, and you have to find a way to go on. I need to let go. Say goodbye with a smile. It won't be easy. She doesn't know yet that she has set in motion. In moments, everything will change. If you don't know Kristen Hanna is one of our more popular authors. She writes just really amazing, good lyrical works. Definitely want to check her out if you like literary fiction. Our last book is a new author to our library, Jane Harper, and this one is called The Last Man. From above, from a distance, the marks in the dust formed a tight circle. The circle was far from perfect, with a distorted edge that grew thick, then thin, and broke completely in places. It also wasn't empty. In the center was a headstone, blasted smooth by 100-year assault from sand, wind, and sun. The headstone stood a meter tall and was still perfectly straight. It faced west toward the desert, which was unusual out there. West was rarely anyone's first choice. The name of the man buried beneath had long since vanished, and the landmark was known to locals, all 65 of them, plus 100,000 head of cattle, simply as the stockman's grave. That piece of land had never been a cemetery. The stockman had been put into the ground where he had died, and in more than a century no one had joined him. If a visitor were to run their hands over the worn stone, a partial date could be detected in the indentations. A 1 and an 8 and a 9, maybe 1890 something. Only 3 words were still visible. They had been carved lower down, where they had better shelter from the elements. Or perhaps they had been chiseled more deeply to start with, the message deemed more important than the man. They read, "Who went astray." Months up to a year, even, could slip away without a single visitor passing by, let alone stopping to read the faded inscription or squint west into the afternoon sun. Even the cattle didn't linger. The ground was typically sandy and sparse for 11 months of the year, and hidden under murky floodwater for the rest. The cows preferred to wander north, where the pickings were better and the trees offered shade. So the grave stood mostly alone, next to a thin 3-wire cattle fence. The fence stretched a dozen kilometers east to a road and a few hundred west of the desert, where the horizon was so flat it seemed possible to detect the curvature of the earth. It was a land of mirages, where the few tiny trees in the far distance shimmered and floated on non-existent lakes. I'm going to speed forward into the last. The circle in the dust fell just short of 1 full revolution, just short of 24 hours, and then at last the stockman finally had company, as the earth turned and the shadow moved on alone, and the man lay still in the center of a dusty grave under a monstrous sky. So Jane Harper, she writes books. They all take place in Australia, but many of our patrons who have picked up these books have really liked them. Just full of mystery and suspense set in the Australian outback. So definitely check her out as well. Well, we thank you again for joining us. This is the last one since National Library Week is over. So we hope you enjoyed these, gave you something to think about while our doors are closed. We hope to open those soon, and we'll keep you posted and updated. Thanks again, everyone. Remember, you can check these out by calling us or by going onto our online catalog and reserving them. Thank you.